Good morning, everybody. So, I haven't done a video in a few days, but I've watched a lot of movies. And I was holding them. I wanted to do the one giant video. So, this is going to be a bunch of little short reviews of 12, 12 Lon Chaney movies. It is Summer Under the Stars. And I love Lon Chaney, but I had apparently not seen very many of his films. So we showed something like 15 films of his, I think, on Thursday, and I had seen 3 of them. So I watched 12 of them. I actually sat down and I was like, I'm watching all of these Lon Chaney movies. So a lot of them are available from Warner Archive Collection because he was with MGM. So if you don't catch these while they're still on Watch TCM, you can probably get them from Warner Archive Collection. So the first one was 19. So I watched one of these in order, and then like when it was airing live, and then the rest I watched on Watch TCM. So I watched them in chronological order, except the first one that I'm going to talk about. So the first one was Laugh Clown Laugh. Now I had actually watched. I think I watched everything that we showed Lon Chaney except The Unknown, actually, because The Unknown was when I was at work, so I missed it. But I got home in time to watch He Who Gets Slapped, which is another Lon Chaney clown movie that I love. And then I watched Phantom, and then I watched Laugh Come Laugh. So I actually watched almost 24 hours worth of Lon Chaney movies. Laugh Come Laugh is from 1928. It has very young Loretta Young. It's directed by Herbert Benson. And basically, it's shot by James Wong Howe. Basically, Lon Chaney is a clown. He finds a girl, a baby. He adopts her and raises her, and then falls in love with her when she's a woman, and it's a little weird. Then she's played by Loretta Young. She's 14 and does not look it. She then encounters a young, wealthy man named Luigi, played by Niels Astor, and falls in love with him. And so then there's this weird, creepy love triangle between basically her adopted father and someone who's the right age for her. And the rest of the film follows sort of this love triangle and Lon Chaney's melancholy that comes from it. It's a great performance from him. It's kind of a creepy film, I found. So then going in order, starting in the early 20s, I watched The Penalty, which is directed by Wallace Woolsey and from a story by Gouverneur Morris. I watched 2 films that had that in the same triple crew. This one is about a legless man who, he was not legless, he was a kid. He got in a car accident. Some really bad surgeon chopped off his legs and confessed to the other surgeon, oops, I shouldn't have done this. And he heard this as a kid. So, but no one would listen to him because he was a kid. So then he grows up and becomes a criminal mastermind on the Barbary Coast in San Francisco, and decides he's going to get revenge. He does this partially by becoming a model for the doctor's daughter for this really creepy statue of Satan. And it's one of those movies that you really enjoy Chaney's physicality and his ability to like wear devices that make him look legless. But at the same time, it's a very old-fashioned look at disability and the way that people were treated when they were disabled and the way that that made disabled people feel. And it's hard to watch it with a modern perspective where you're like, you know, you can live a great life. So, you know, it's definitely very Chaney, very macabre. The next one was same director, same writer, Ace of Hearts, which co-starred Leatrice Joy. This is another one of those like Suicide Club type movies where it's a group of not a suicide club. They're a secret society that follows people who they think are awful, judges them, and then decides to kill them. And then if they decide someone needs to die, they pull cards, and whoever gets the Ace of Hearts has to do the killing. And Leatrice Joyce pulls it, gives the ace to this other guy. She decides that she'll marry him because he's going to have to do this crime But then they fall in love because they had sex. And so then Lon Chaney comes in and is like, fine, I'll do it. And tries to save everybody and get them out of the club without anyone dying. It's really strange, and I need to know why there's so many of these weird Suicide Club, Secret Society movies from this era. And like, were there a bunch of stories like this? And why were there a bunch of stories like this? I just need to know. The next one was Oliver Twist. This is an obvious one. If you don't know the story of Oliver Twist, I don't know what to tell you. It's directed by Frank Lloyd. It's from 1922. Jackie Coogan plays Oliver. Lon Chaney is Fagin. It was a very straightforward, great adaptation of this story. Coogan is such a great, charismatic child actor. And Lon Chaney as Fagin, you hate the character, and you're supposed to hate the character, so that's great. I thought it really worked. The next one was 1925's The Monster. It's a sort of a horror comedy. It's directed by Roland West, and it's a precursor to The Old Dark House and the Old Dark House type movies. I did not like the score that was with this film. I think silent films need a good score, and this one did not have a great score. It mostly stars Johnny Arthur as a bumbling would-be detective who's trying to solve the disappearance of somebody, and eventually he ends up in this sanitarium run by a mad scientist played by Lon Chaney, who's trying to take souls from one people and put it in another person. And once Lon Chaney comes in, it's great. Everything leading up to Lon Chaney and everything after Lon Chaney is hard to watch, and the tonal shifts are really weird. It doesn't quite work as a movie, but Lon Chaney is great. The next film I watched was the 1925 version of the Unholy 3. This is directed by Todd Browning. Basically, 3 sideshow workers, including Chaney and Harry Earls, who you remember from Freaks, decide they have to leave this sideshow because they're wanted for a crime. They decide to open a pet shop, and Harry Earls plays a baby, and Lon Chaney plays a grandma, and they're selling pets to rich people in order to fleece them. And then shenanigans happens when their friend, or their lady who left the sideshow with them, falls in love with their worker, and they try to blackmail, or they try to set him up as a patsy, and then she's like, but I love him, and shenanigans ensue, and maybe redemption. It's a strange film, and I don't understand why that would even be like, that's how you go on the lam, by pretending to be an old woman and owning a pet shop. Seems like too much overhead for me. The next one was The Blackbird, in which Lon Chaney plays the Blackbird, a thief, as well as a beloved man named the Bishop. And essentially, he is a crime lord and is dealing with his ex-wife and his other lover, who are both in a vaudeville act. And when shenanigans ensue, when they when the woman he loves falls in love with another man, and that man tries to start stealing things for her, and there's a lot of theft and a lot of confusion about who is really a bad person and is anyone a good person, and love, and can love redeem you? And it's another one of those very macabre, very strange, set in this world that doesn't really exist like this. I'm not sure. This is another Todd Browning film. The next one, I'm running out of time. Oh God. The next one I really loved. This was Tell It to the Marines. It was George Hill, and it also co-starred William Haynes as a man who accidentally joins the Marines, but then through his love for a nurse played by Eleanor Boardman and his relationship with Lon Chaney, his corporal sergeant, he becomes a much better person and stops being a stupid playboy and actually does great things in the world. And William Haynes is great. Lon Chaney does not wear any makeup. It's just great performances all around. I really recommend that one. I then watched William Nye's Mr. Wu. This was really hard to watch because everyone is in yellowface, including Renee Adoree. And you had an Anna May Wong, and it's like, you have Anna May Wong, and she's not the lead. I don't understand. And apparently this is very popular Mr. Wu stories in England, so I'm like horrified. The next one I watched was Todd Browning's West of Zanzibar. This is another one where this has everybody and their grandmother in it, Lionel Barrymore and Warner Baxter and Mary Nolan. And basically, He's a magician, and he gets his wife stolen, and she has a baby, and then she dies, and then he ends up in West Africa, um, controlling a tribe with magic, and then his maybe daughter shows up, and she falls in love with alcoholic Warner Baxter, and Lionel Barrymore is a villain, and is everyone gonna die? I don't know, maybe. Um, the next one I watched was 1929's Where East is East. This is another yellow-face film that seems like it should be set in Vietnam, but they keep calling it China, and that was very confusing. And you have, this time you have Lupe Velez in yellowface, and you're like, but she's Mexican. I don't understand what's happening here. Um, this one has a femme fatale and evil and really cool animals and like a scarred tiger face, and his name is actually Tiger in this. And it's just really hard to watch these films with all this really deep yellow face. The last one I watched was his last talkie film, 1930's The Unholy 3. Same plot as the original Unholy 3, only this time Lon Chaney talks. And it's very strange to hear him talk. And then he died of throat cancer 3 months later, so you never got to hear him talk again. And I think I probably would have gotten used to it, and I think he would have been a great pre-code horror star if he had lived. These are all available from Warner Archive Collection. They're all streaming on Watch TCM right now. I don't recommend watching them as quickly as I watched them. I got a little sleepy. I fell asleep a few times. That's why it took me 3 days. But I'm glad that I've more caught up with Lon Chaney, and he's just a very unique American artist, and I'm glad that I got to see more of his films.